everybody. My name's Bert. I'm a 26-year-old Navy veteran, and I'm making this video to explain to you what happens during P Days, which is the first week of Navy boot camp. P Days is short for processing days, and there's a lot of folklore and mythology about what goes on during that week. And I'm here to quash all the rumors and tell you what actually happened to me and what you can expect. So, before the first week, they cannot PT you. Keep that in mind. So when you first show up, they cannot tell you to drop and do push-ups. That's because you haven't been medically cleared yet. So you don't have to worry about being PT to death. They will, however, go to any and all lengths to make you feel like a miserable piece of shit. They will curse at you. They'll get in your face. They will yell at you nonstop. Just letting you know that. But anyway, so the day before boot camp, I got my aunt and uncle dropped me off at MEPS in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I actually signed up, but this time it was to go to boot camp. So they took us on a bus to a hotel near the airport where we stayed that night, the night before we were to leave for boot camp. And I got this roommate who was going into the Marine Corps, and I didn't get any sleep because we basically stayed up almost all night chatting until about 5 in the morning. That was a huge mistake. Don't do that. Get your sleep that first night because you'll need it. You will not sleep the next night. Yes, I said it. They don't let you sleep the first night of boot camp. That's a fact. It's not a myth. They don't let you sleep when you first show up to boot camp. Keep that in mind. So after that, the next morning, I flew to O'Hare in Chicago with like 3 other guys who were going into Navy boot camp too. We got off the flight. They had this food voucher for us to buy whatever kind of stuff we wanted to eat, and then we had to show up at the USO by a certain time, wait there for the boot camp people to come and get us. Once they arrived, we went downstairs. They put a trash can in the middle of the floor. We all stood in a circle around them, and they were telling us to get rid of all of our contraband, i.e., cigarettes and dip or whatever, tobacco or I don't know what, Playboy magazine or whatever you might have that's contraband. They told you to get rid of. You don't have to get rid of everything there, just the tobacco. Then they drive us in a charter bus to the base. We get off, and there's somebody yelling at us to line up along this big hallway that I'm sure you've seen in some of the other videos about boot camp. It is that hallway with the tiled floor. Yes, that's the first building you set foot in at boot camp. The first night is really hard. First, they let you do the phone call home. Then they give you this bag, this big green military bag that you've seen in veterans carrying around with them, or you've seen in war movies. It's called a sea bag. And then you fill it up. You go in this like assembly line, picking out anything and everything that you'll need during boot camp: shampoo, soap, shower shoes, undershirts, underwear, running shoes, every single thing. And they make you change out of your clothes, box up your clothes and all of the other shit that you have aside from your wallet and I think a Bible or religious stuff. Other than that, you have to get rid of everything. You box it up and you mail it home. After you have all your shit in the sea bag, you wear the sea bag behind you on your back, and you stand in ranks with the rest of your newly formed division, and you stand there all night long. You just stand there, and you're not allowed to talk. And the only time you're allowed to fall out is to get water or to pee. So I was doing that pretty much constantly, trying to make myself have to pee by drinking a lot of water so I could break out of the formation and go pee get back in the line, because it gets really, really annoying standing there from about midnight until 7 in the morning. And when they finally come and get you in the morning, they will send you to breakfast, and I don't remember which is first, breakfast or the haircut, but you get breakfast and you get a haircut. And don't think that just because they leave you there overnight that you can do whatever you want, because they still have people standing guard there making sure people who are on duty, making sure that you don't misbehave, and you stand there still all night long. The breakfast was pretty good, but it's really awkward because you're not allowed to talk, so you sit there and stare at the person in front of you. You get the haircut. They just buzz off all your hair really fast, like in the movies. Then there's something on like the second or third day called Moment of Truth. I'm sure you've all heard about it. You sit there in a big room, sit there at a desk, about 100 people in the room. This senior chief walked in, this female senior chief and a male, I think it was a chief or first class. They walked in, the senior chief told us to stand up, and we were all like, aye, aye, senior chief. And she said, not loud enough. And we said, aye, aye, senior chief. She had these papers in her hand, and she said, these are the records of all the people who lied at delayed entry program, and people who lied at MEPS to get into the Navy. And if you don't fess up now, then we're going to charge you with fraudulent enlistment. So sure enough, a bunch of people stood up. Senior chief, I have something to confess. And then people raise their hands. They tell you it's your last chance. You're going to go to prison. Don't do it. Don't say a damn thing. You sit there and stare at them. I don't care what kind of lie you're hiding. You sit there and shut your mouth and you stare at the wall. The only time you talk, and this goes true for the rest of boot camp, the only time you talk is when you're spoken to or asked a direct question. And that philosophy will get you through boot camp. And that starts at the moment of truth. If you open your fucking mouth, you're going to get sent home. They don't have any information on you. They don't know that you lied at MEPS. If they did, they would just come and get you and send you home. Or they wouldn't have sent you to boot camp if they knew that you lied about your criminal record or some kind of medical issue that you have. Believe me, most people lie at MEPS. I'm not telling you to lie, but I'm telling you, if you have, sit there, shut up, do not volunteer any extra information. That goes for the rest of P days, because the rest of P days is pretty much is spent at the medical office, where you get your shots and immunizations. They fill out your medical record. They ask you all the same questions again. Have you ever had X, Y, and Z done to you? Have you ever had asthma? Have you ever had a broken leg? You say no to everything that they don't know about. They check your vision. And pretty much that's an introduction to boot camp. You should be quiet. You should not volunteer information. And definitely don't volunteer yourself to be a recruit division leader or have any special jobs. You'll get treated like shit and you'll get singled out. Don't volunteer for anything. Don't volunteer any extra information. Don't speak unless spoken to, and do exactly what they tell you when they tell you, and you will be just fine. And you'll make it through boot camp. The first week is pretty hard, but you get rewarded. If you make it through boot camp, they'll give you a Navy ball cap and make you a real sailor, and you'll get a command ball cap like this when you show up to your first command. I don't have my uniform on me, but here's the badge when I worked in engineering on the Mobile Bay. Here's a little coin from a 1-star admiral that I got. I got all kinds of other awards and cool stuff like ESWAS, like a NAM, Navy Achievement Medal, and I got to see all kinds of cool ports. I got to see Hawaii, Japan, the Philippines, Singapore. but you have to get through boot camp first. And to get through boot camp, you have to get through P days first. So I hope that was informative, and I might post videos later if I get a good reaction to this one.